For more, let's bring in Israeli Special Operations veteran Aaron Cohen. Aaron, great to see you. I was listening to retired General and CENTCOM Commander Frank McKenzie over the weekend on Face the Nation, kind of muting Margaret Brennan with her anti-Trump questions and commentary. But if you listen to General McKenzie, the military has been planning to deal with the Strait of Hormuz, how to deal with it, whether it's to raid and leave some of the islands in the region or to land and control, literally seize Carr Island for decades. And President Trump obviously knows that.
That's right. So it's good to be on with you, Dagan, guys. Great to see you as always. What you're watching right now, what you're hearing President Trump signal is about to be the final pieces of dismantling the world's most dangerous terrorist sponsor state. And it's going to be happening across three fronts now as he continues to push his operation into this counterterror mission deeper and deeper. Economic, military, and then that strategic choke point to the Strait of Hormuz, which you just asked about. Look, that's the heartbeat of the global oil market. And so I think it's roughly 20% of that oil goes through there. And right now, President Trump, guys, is getting ready to put his hand around the mullah's neck. He's keeping his cards close to his chest. But like you said in your intro, you got Special Operations Forces heading down there, 10,082nd Airborne. No boots on the ground yet, but Iran's entire strategy has depended on threatening this lane, harassing the ships and whatnot. But what you're about to see here is what I call Trump warfare. And it's that unpredictability, that psychological warfare that he's playing. And that's putting pressure on the regime internally. And in my opinion, this is what controlled dismantling looks like. So get ready. You guys are about to see some Trump magic here. Give it a minute. You're about to see it unfold.
If those sailors and Marines, if we do get boots on the ground, Aaron, what is their mission? And how long does it take?
It's a good question. And I want to be clear about this because everybody's saying boots on the ground, boots. So this is all signaling. This is deterrence. And this is what I call optionality. So the troop buildup that we're seeing right now, I want to be very clear. This is not an invasion. It's about giving President Trump options. And people don't have exposure to these classified options here. When you move a rapid deployment force and position assets like the Tripoli, the 82nd Airborne Special Operations assets, it's building what's called a flexible strike posture. You got air, you're going to have sea, you're going to have ground capabilities, but doesn't mean it's showtime. It means it's all going to be staged. And in my opinion, 25 years in the counterterrorism space, this is how you box in the biggest terror regime in the Mideast without committing to full-scale war. You're creating dominance, and President Trump is forcing them to react. And if they're smart, they're going to read the battlefield here, and they might decide maybe we don't want to escalate because we don't know what Trump is going to do next. And I think it's awesome.
Aaron, and you're hitting on the most critical of points. Well, one, the reporting on President Trump weighing military operations to extract Iran's uranium, that was being talked about last year with the strikes on the nuclear facilities, that in order to retrieve that uranium, that it would require manpower to do that. And then listening to Margaret Brennan on Face the Nation, whining about the president's contradictory language on how, who's going to reopen the Hormuz and when. Yes, it's contradictory because he's not going to communicate directly with the enemy.
That's right.
That's the whole point. And it's these reporters and these so-called journalists who have their panties in a twist.
Yeah, that's right.
That haven't they covered President Trump for years, that they would understand that now?
Yeah, well, listen, guys, you know me, I don't get political, but the Trump derangement issue here is gone far beyond what even matters at this point. To the Iranian question, I want to talk to that strategic inflection point, which you brought up, which I think is very important. The biggest shift here is the uranium question, but I want to be clear. The uranium has always been the point of the mission, Dagan. And so if the United States is positioning special operations forces on the ground, who cares what the mainstream media is talking about? They're not privy to those target packages, which Israel has been developing for almost 40 years. President Trump is moving with the finest intelligence on God's planet right now. So the uranium stockpiles, exactly where they're located, and what the special operations missions will involve if they decide to remove that nuclear breakout capability, that's the goal of the mission. So at this point, it's no longer containing the threat. We've got to eliminate that nuclear capability. So that's where I'm at with that. That's always been number one. And President Trump has always been very upfront about that.
And feel free to just ignore my political rants. Aaron Cohen, the next time you come on, and thank you for this time.